There you go. What is going on, everybody? This is the Cloud9 podcast, season 3, episode 22. We are almost done with season 3, and we're probably going to start switching the shows up. One for LEC, one for LCS. I wanted to make sure I rage at the LCS games this week individually because the games were very, very, very bad. Now, the only good game that I watched actually came from FlyQuest. I'm not even kidding.
Yes.
The very first game that opened this week came from FlyQuest, and then they took a dildo right in their butthole when they lost to what? Golden Guardians? They lost to CLG or something like that, right?
Let me look that up. But that's like what you love about LCS, right? And one day they look like heroes, the next day they will get their ass whooped, and it's just that's the LCS. And let me see. Yeah. So that was Sunday. They look. No,
Yeah, let me
TSM.
bring up the games right
they got
now.
They got whooped by TSM.
Oh, yeah, that was when Instinct got the pentakill. Yeah. So, like, they played this amazing game against 100 Thieves. Then, literally the next day, they get their asses blown out by TSM. The same TSM that got their asses blown up by Cloud9 the previous day, and then Cloud9 just drops the game to Immortals. Literally, I don't care what the fuck these results were this week. Still the worst team in the league. I don't know what LCS games I was watching, but before I tear into these games and just like try not to melt from the inside out, like the Wicked Witch of the East, right? That's the one that melted, right? Yeah.
Yes.
It's been too long since I watched that movie. I watched that movie when I was a kid. Holy crap. Yeah, the Wicked Witch of the... If people don't know about the Wizard of Oz, and if you actually like that movie, I highly encourage you to read the book. The book was actually way better. The movie was actually pretty good too, but the book was so much better. Actually, they expanded on much more of the lore of that world. But yes, so your name is Live Evil Pod. What? So just introduce yourself. So I'll just start with the basic question I asked the last guy I had on. How did you get into League of Legends, and what season did you get into League of Legends?
So that's funny. That's a good question. This brings me down memory lane. I started in 2017. So my name is Prime LOL, and I'll explain where the Prime comes from. So I got into the League esports scenes not the traditional way, just by watching, but I got in because there's this little game called Daily Fantasy Sports that offered for esports. That was like something bizarre for me, and so I was good with the traditional sports, football, basketball, all that, but esports was fairly new. And I already played the game. I played it when it came out in season 3. So fast forward, and I didn't pick up until I started watching again because they're offering it on DFS. So I'm like, what is this? And I dove straight head into it. That was one of the years that I watched Worlds, where I think Samsung Galaxy won. I know Dragon X was in the finals.
That's when Samsung Galaxy. They actually made a reappearance in the finals, actually.
Yeah.
They're actually one of the few teams to make a back-to-back finals appearance outside of literally SKT, which is also crazy. All these fucking accolades Korea has, actually.
So that's my entry into the league, and then it just...
But you're a fan of Evil Geniuses, actually. So when you first entered the League of Legends scene, you didn't attach yourself with any team from the LCS, LEC, LPL, LCK, nothing?
I was watching all 4 regions for the pure fun of the fantasy sports arena. I tied myself to the players. I like Uzi. I was like following him until, RNG like sticks that same dildo that you talked about up my butt every single time I bet on them. It's fun to watch, kind of like follow a little bit of G2. TSM was not at its best. I think TL by then was taking over the LCS. So it was like dabbling in all the different ones, but Evil Geniuses came this year.
Yeah. So did you like Evil Geniuses when they re-entered the league back in the end of 2019? Because they started their 2020 season with Svenskeren, Zazel, Bang, and Jizuke, and Kumo.
Yes.
What an interesting roster that was.
That was interesting. So I don't know the EG history prior to then, but when they got back in, I think they took over... Whose spot did they take over?
Echo Fox's slot, actually.
Echo Fox? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my good like ties to Echo Fox. I loved Hooney, I love that team, but they just completely fell apart. But that's when Evil Geniuses took over. I like their branding, the whole idea of evil. I don't know if you remember Jizuke holding that flamethrower.
I remember the promotion video the lady did actually.
Right.
They're gonna stomp the league, and everyone knows if you're a new org, you don't stomp the league, you actually get stomped yourself. It takes a bit of time to get to understand how the LCS works, actually, even for a new org. You know, like it's actually really rare a new org joins and disdominates. The only orgs that I remember that joined the league and dominated were like Cloud9 and G2 for like the West. Like Cloud9 joined long time ago. They entered in, they stomped for a while. G2 joined, they stomped for a very long time, actually.
It's just them and Fnatic back and forth.
Yeah. And then Evil Geniuses, in 2020, I remember they lost to Cloud9 in that round 3-0. Then the next year, they lost to Cloud9 again in order to make Worlds. And then this year, they finally got their revenge on Cloud9. 2 years in the making. Back-to-back 3-0s. That one roster they had, it was Niski, Blabber, Sven, Vulcan, and Licorice. The next year's roster was Perks. So they got destroyed by Perks, and they got destroyed by Niski.
But Niski, dumpster. those LEC mids, man.
Oh, God. And then this year, they finally got the right roster that works for them. Because I don't think they ever built bad rosters. I think it was potentially on the coaching staff that really never utilized the pieces of their roster. Because you think a roster with Jizuke, Kumos, and Scarin, Bang, and Zazel, that's not a bad roster on paper. Arguably, that, I think, what were power rankings for that split? Did people have them like fourth, third, highest?
Preseason, yeah, they were like very like, oh, they're gonna make playoffs, they're in bounds for Worlds, and they finally putting this together. For me, it's just like, it's Jizuke, man. The team lives and dies by how he plays.
Yeah. And then after that, you had the next year, and I remember they had Deathly for a little bit. So in the lock-in tournament, they came out swinging. You know, last year they beat Cloud9. Everyone's like, yeah, let's go, EG. And then they end up facing, it was a Team Liquid in that round of the lock-in tournament.
Yes.
And they get completely destroyed. And then that split with Deathly and Ignar, I don't remember too well. Was it that good from them? It was all right.
It was all right. It was like playoff worthy, but it was never going to reach like
I remember they lost to TSM. They were in, they got 6th place, I remember. And that in 6th place for spring, starting that year, you don't go into the losers bracket. If you lose once, you're out.
You're
TSM,
out.
And then they faced TSM and they were out. Then they bring in Danny for the summer split. Yeah. And then they actually do pretty well for the summer split. I think they finished like 3rd, top 3, top 4. That's pretty good for them, actually. And then they faced 100 Thieves. I remember that. They faced 100 Thieves in that round to make it to the finals. And then they actually ended up losing that round, actually. That was a really close match, too, actually. It was actually really insanely close. I mean, and then after that, they went to the lower bracket. But people forget, that's when people forget Danny's first pop-off play with Tristana, man. That Tristana play. 100 Thieves, I don't know what they were thinking, having a gangplank and a Rise charge into a bush with no vision with a Tristana all right there. But, hey, Danny made the outplay. And then after that, they lose to Cloud9. They don't go to Worlds. Then this year comes around. They bring in Inspired, MVP of the LEC 2021 Summer Split. They bring in Impact, who was on Team Liquid. And for Team Liquid, you remember, Impact on Team Liquid wasn't a bad player, but he was always thrown on tank duty. He was always tank duty. Once in a while, they give him a carry champion. He'd do like all right on it. But EG, dude, this year, I think EG has unlocked Impact, actually. He's been very good this year.
Absolutely. They've always talked about, like, playoff Impact is different or summer Impact is different. And that's the whole thing. They put him on like weak side and just make sure you don't lose lane, and which is great. It's great. He doesn't lose lane that often. And no, this year they really let him loose, let him pick his champion. I think he had, and Peter Dunn has a very good connection and understanding like how he wants to play. So it's great to see some revitalization, of an old vet.
Yeah, like I think people also underestimate how much of a valuable asset that Peter Dunn actually is. Like absolutely. He was also like, you factor in after he left Mad Lions, that was back in it was this. He left Mad Lions last year, right?
No, 2 years ago. Wait, let me make sure. I know he left them a little bit before because Mad Lions had their success last year, right?
Yeah.
Matt did wonderful. He wasn't on that team anymore. I
It
think
was
he only
2020.
stayed on Matt. Stayed on Matt for 1 year because that's when Splice switched to Mad, and then he was out.
I like hearing Peter Dunn's interviews when people had a chance to do content like that. They were so good. They were like really good.
Yeah.
I was like, this is pretty like Peter Dunn's one of those guys where like that there can be people that aren't pro players that can be good coaches though. And because dude, I come from a traditional sports background myself, and that's always a talking point is like, why are casters saying all this stuff if they aren't actually playing the game? It's one of those things, and you can be actually, but people don't understand, dude. You can be very smart at the game without actually playing it. That's a thing that actually can happen. But for League, since these guys don't grow up around a coaching environment with this game, coaching is more like, why am I listening to this guy who's not anywhere near my level? Yeah. But I think sometimes I think the pro players don't actually understand that, because sometimes in life, as you get older, listening to someone from the outside can actually help you benefit from things you can't see yourself. Like when you ask your friends for something, you'll go to a friend that's not your friend, but someone you don't talk to often, but they're going to give you an unbiased, objective point of view. Maybe if you're having dating problems with a girl, you'll go like, hey man, why do I suck dating girls? You're not going to ask your mom. Your mom's going to be very nice to you. Your mom's going to go like, yeah.
They're like, it's all them. There's nothing wrong
it's all
with
the girls. Just shower. You fucking stink, But if you ask like one of your friends who are going to be a little bit more harsher, it's like, no, dude, you got to do this, maybe go at it this way. It's always good to have an objective point of view, because like I know the scene is like transitioning into kind of only moving into like ex-pro players being coaches. That could also be a problem, because what if these ex-pro players weren't even that good, honestly?
Right.
Right. That's a problem too. It's like you could have an ex-pro player as a coach, but like what benefit is that? And also people don't understand, being a coach is different from being a player to the aspect of actually understanding how to speak to someone, how to interact with someone. Because like, let's be honest, dude, growing up playing video games, probably like you have, and like myself, that's for like nerds. You don't talk to people. That's a solitary thing,
Absolutely. You make a very good point. And it's an old thought. You see it in sports too, right? What does this coach know about the sport? He never even played it, but you get these new ideas because players are so into it. They're ingrained. They're like, this is the only way to do it. But if you get like a wider view, you get creativity, you get experiment with different drafts. You see the map completely differently. And it does bother me when some of the players are asking Coach, what rank are you? Like, that really has anything to do with pro play. They're solo queue. They're solo queue pro S.
So like some pro players be like, why would I listen to this guy? He's your boss. I don't know if you've ever had somebody says I've never had a job, because they would just get right out of high school to actually later on get a job, like a part-time job to maybe pay for college. Guys, that's your boss. I don't like my boss at my job, but I listen to her. You got to listen to your boss. It shows a level of hierarchy, shows a level of, leadership. You have to establish that, because if you don't, and people are just kind of just doing whatever, well, that's also not good for long-term team building, because if you don't establish an authority figure and you just do whatever you want, that's not how that works. I mean, back in the day, League did work like that. It would just be like 5 pro players just playing. But there's a reason. I do kind of like how it changed though, because like, I mean, that didn't really ever garner success though, really. Like none of those teams really ever won anything,
Well, I guess Invictus would be the only one that came into mind where it's all player driven.
Yeah, and the coach was more like the facilitator. Yeah, didn't last long. And one of those things now with the LCS, because I'm going to ask you about the LCS before we go on talking about the games, is where do you think the LCS is at? Because everyone keeps talking about the LCS's viewership is dying, even though I don't really personally think that. My thing is a viewership that's dying. Okay, so the viewership that'll be dying. So like, I imagine you watch on YouTube or Twitch. Which one do you watch on more preferred?
YouTube, yeah, more so on YouTube. Yeah.
So on YouTube, I know you probably see the same number. They usually peak at like 25K. 25K generally. If an IMT or Digger playing, that shit drops to like 17K. So I sadly watch all the games. from all the regions too. So I know
Hey,
what it's like.
good
I
fan.
watch fucking oh my god, those bad LPL teams. I watch Team World Elite. My brain
Oh,
fries
you
itself.
were. Oh my gosh. Are you watching like TT against like what's the
Whenever I get a chance to, I watch them. I watch all the games. I've actually did that for years. And even when I first entered League and I know nothing about League, I would watch all of them. And I
all of
watched
them?
Homo Life Esports play, and that's sad. That breaks my heart.
Oh my gosh.
It's so bad. Now, hey,
It's
Live
I don't.
Sandbox, Dark Horse. Maybe Dark Horse to go to Worlds actually, because now it's confirmed today. EU, the LEC, LPO, and LCK have 4 seeds. So hey, man, for the LEC,
Wow.
Misfits Gaming can get that 4th seed. No, they're not. If Misfits go to Worlds, I'm that's sad. That's
You don't
actually
believe
sad.
it? You don't believe in this like whole like turnaround, this
Team
resurgence?
BDS. Team BDS is getting there, man. But
Yeah.
for me, viewership that's dying would be like 1,000 viewers. That's dying.
Right.
I think
That's
people are
dying.
misconstruing the word. I think people really mean it's stagnant. That's the word you're probably. Because we talked about this on shows previously, I think the viewership is stagnant. It's not growing. Now, there has to be a reason why it's not growing, and there could be a myriad of reasons. Because back when the LCS was really popular on YouTube and Twitch, this was kind of the biggest thing at that moment in time. Now, there's other options. Even not just with esports, you also have to factor in there's been other options in terms of people's lives changing. Because back then, when they were watching, they're probably a lot younger. This is kind of all they were really into.
College, you got time. Yeah.
You probably grew up. They probably had a kid. Potentially, they got a better paying job. A load of different things. You ask any one person why they stopped watching. There's one random hot girl I was watching on Twitch. I was like, why'd you stop watching LCS back in 2017? She was like, oh, I just wasn't that interested anymore. And that's the thing too. Interests fade over time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why do you think the viewership has remained stagnant, actually?
That's a good question. Myriad of reasons. We talked a little bit about this in the LCS Palooza last time too. Their teams are what keeps people interested and invested is that players have some sort of longevity with a team, and you don't see that a lot in LCS. They get switched over to a different team every split. There's not enough stories developed to make a person invested in a team, and so we even some of those things that they post. I mean, the TSM files, for example, or is not
TSM
Legends. Yeah. They're not releasing it as much anymore, so you're gonna get less engagement from that, and so you're just gonna get viewers who are there for Saturday and Sunday. But you want to keep building something to keep them interested. I can understand production is expensive as hell, and sometimes the returns are not there. But overall, I think we also are competing, like you mentioned. There are more esports in the scene. Valorant is having their spike moment right now, but at the end of the day, League of Legends is going to endure throughout all of them, throughout CSGO, throughout COD. Yeah.
There's like people gotta understand now, like some of the people that were in the audience back in the day, they also became Twitch streamers too. So they're not watching if they're just gonna be Twitch streaming. I always tell people this, there's not one reason why the viewership is remained stagnant. There's not any real reason. Like there's many reasons. Like you said before, there's a player that could be retiring. People like that player a lot. They don't want to watch that guy's in the league. Then you also have that player going to a team that this fan doesn't want to support. So that fan just kind of goes, I'm not doing that. Like for me, I come from a traditional sports background. I follow Cloud9, I follow G2, I follow Gen G, and I follow RNG. Those are the teams that I stick with throughout all the many regions. So I watch all 4 of them. I've watched fucking RNG for fucking years. Holy shit, when they have fucking Whoosh on their team. Holy fuck, that was a long time ago.
Oh, you serious? Wow, you are a true fan.
Yeah, I've been watching these teams for a while. Like G2, I remember when they first entered the league and they're just, basically just shitting on everybody. Cloud9, I remember watching them at Worlds 2014. Like, I would never personally leave because I've watched this for many years, but I can understand why another person would go, my favorite player is gone. I don't want to watch anymore. You had a lot of people saying, I'm not going to watch LCS because LS is gone at this point.
Right.
That wasn't another big one. And that's something we talked about last week too, is those TSM legend style of videos, the orgs need to do more of them. And I understand the viewership might not be as good on them as they used to be, but I'm being honest here, dude. That's how a lot of people got attached to like a lot of these new players, because all those new TSM players they brought in year after year after year how did they become so popular? Through the TSM Legends videos. They weren't just popular because. You told me Acadian was just popular just because? No, he was not. He was on Echo Fox. He was okay. Went to TSM, a lot more popular. Hanser was on Gravity. Went to TSM, a lot more popular. You had players who came over on TSM like Biofrost coming in that one split that you started watching, right? All those player stories were told through TSM Legends. They had episodes dedicated to just telling that player's story with that week's games. Cloud9 had that for a while. Now they have the whole behind the scenes thing. I don't really like that title too much. I think on Cloud9 sounded better. That's me personally. I think the orgs need to keep doing that kind of content. And I understand people say views aren't that good on it. But the thing with that's another double-edged sword argument, because just because a video doesn't have good views on it doesn't make it bad. And I think that's a problem teams need to start looking at too. If the content is there and it's really good and it gets like 25,000 views, that's pretty good. That's great.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's these like incel inbred losers who don't do content that say 25,000 views on a video is horrible. Do you make content? No. Then your opinion means nothing. Your opinion means absolutely nothing, because how would you know? So I'm pretty sure you watch movies, right? So there's a saying in the movie industry, or people use on like when talking to their friends, box office doesn't equal quality. What it means, guys, is just because the Transformer films made a lot of money, that doesn't make them good. People know the Transformer films are pretty bad. Just because a video doesn't have the amount of views you think it should have doesn't make it bad, right? That last TSM Legends episode, it was actually pretty good. Didn't get that many views, but it was pretty good,
Yeah.
And like that's the problem, is all these fans keep complaining about views and likes. I was like, guys, that doesn't matter. What matters is you're getting the content. You should be happy you're getting any content regarding that. A lot of these like TSM Legend style content that teams had made for years. Imagine that dedicated fan base that was there to watch that all the time. You still have Squad for Team Liquid. You still have, the Cloud9 videos like that. 100 Thieves. Remember, 100 Thieves doesn't.
They stopped doing it. Oh my gosh.
Nate Shot announced in the last Heist video, we're going to retire the Heist series. Why would you retire your Heist series after you just won a championship you've been trying to work on getting for 4 years? Oh, sorry, at that point, that was 3 years. But you guys see my point, right?
Yes.
You would retire your profitable League of Legends series you had that was actually getting a lot of views, surprisingly, after you just won your first championship you had been working on trying to get for 3 years straight. Are you kidding me? That is ridiculous. I was just thinking about that at work, and I was like, wait a minute. They canceled the Heist series after they won their first championship. So any fan that was following them to get that championship, you got that video where you won the championship title. Wouldn't it be great to see after that? Wouldn't it be something to have all these fans have this journey with them again? They made the finals. I mean, EG kind of beat the shit out of them, but they made the finals,
Yeah.
Like I know they struggled at the beginning of last split quite a lot, but it's just all the views they could have had. Now that's not capitalizing on viewers. The newest LCS champion, there's going to be a bunch of bandwagon fans, but there's also going to be those fans that were there since day one rooting for them.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I've become part of that community, and they've been there since day one when there's like 1,000. Our Reddit is like only like house like maybe 500 to 1,000 people active. But yeah, because they've been there, now they get to be rewarded by seeing their team really making it, right? And this is how we get invested, and the more investment we make, the more we're willing to put in resources. I bought my first jersey, and I was planning to buy more, but they're not releasing much merchandise for EG. I've been complaining.
Like I remember Cloud9 not winning a title for so long, and when they won it back in 2020, the videos are bad on the channel from that when that came out. Oh, I was so happy. And then people remember my reaction of them on the channel winning with perks. I was so happy. I was like, damn. And then they lose to 100 Thieves in that third place match when they could have won it. But okay, it's all good. And then they lose to EG this year around. And then now I don't know what they are right now. They're just there or something. So whenever your team wins, I don't know what to describe it. That feeling is so amazing. When Cloud9 hadn't won and there had been so many finals and failing, because when I started watching Cloud9, they didn't win any titles. This was before my time, literally like a year before my time ish, kind of. So I never watched them win a final, and I had watched them winning 2. Like all the OG fans on the channel know that videos on the channel when they won in spring 2020. I was so happy, and then that reaction I did when they won one with Perks, and you had that back and forth TL series. Oh, like. If anyone follows an LCS team and you've been a fan for long, stick with them. Because if that team ever does win a trophy, that feeling of knowing you stuck it by year after year, split after split. Splits are long, guys, which is just 3 months. You have MSI, you have Worlds. It's, God, the feeling is undescribable. How did you feel when EG won their title back in spring?
Oh, it was so surreal, right? You were watching it unfold, and I was like prepared to lose. I mean, to be all honest, I was like, wow,
Everyone
we are making this miracle
run.
Yeah. Right. And oh, this is gonna be a close series after like they beat TL, they swept TL, and I was like, oh, we're building this momentum. And you watch each and every single team fight, even to the minutia detail, you feel that energy building in the championship game. So I get what you're talking about, man. And you're like, every mistake, every great outplay, it means so much more, and you just absorb that energy. I'm like thousands of miles, well, maybe not thousands, but I'm not anywhere near Houston, and I felt the crowd. I felt the excitement.
Because you've been following since 2020, so you'd seen their hardships of them swapping players in and out, them losing 3-0 fashion. And you saw them, because they lost to FlyQuest in that first split they were in that playoff series. That's when Cloud9 were really dominant. After that, they lost to Cloud9.
Cloud9,
they lost over. Yeah. The next year, they lose to TSM. When that roster wasn't that good. Then after that, they lose to Cloud9 again. Back to back, just getting 3-1, 3-0. Then they get a good roster together in lock-in. You lose in lock-in to Team Liquid, actually.
Yes.
We got swept. 3-0. All these 3-0s consistently. And then they finally, after all those many BO5 losses, they finally get a roster together that can finally win a trophy. I couldn't only imagine what that feels like. Like, that it's one of the best feelings ever. Like, just seeing them win. Like, you follow the team so much, you watch the games week in, week out. Like, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I almost cried on those videos when Cloud9 first won that first trophy back when they won in 2020. Imagine seeing them at that many finals lose consistently. I went to the Cloud9 versus TSM semifinal back in 2019 in spring when they got reverse swept by TSM after they were 2-0 up.
Oh,
that was heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking.
Painful.
My heart almost broke in half. And then watching them lose to Team Liquid in 2019 finals when they could have actually won that game 4. Then to see them next year come out swinging as hard as they did, they had the best record of any LCS team ever. Wasn't their record like 36-2? They lost to TSM and you guys. They lost one game to TSM in the regular season, and they lost that one game against EG in that playoff series. 2 single individual games from a playoff series and 1 BO1. That is ridiculous. People are saying that roster was insane. The fact that it was in COVID period, oh God, geez.
All right. Lovely.
Plugin says viewership is thriving in Korea and China. A little bit different there. So in Korea and China, it's a lot more accepted to play video games over there, actually. They promote it a hell of a lot more than North America. In North America, esports is not exactly as big as people say it is. Don't let commentators or people tell it's really not as big. Like, you tell people you play video games for a living, they laugh at you. I'm not even kidding, guys. They actually laugh at you. Like, it's not as a socially accepted norm as it is with the Asian countries, actually.
You'll hear it. People will say, like, esports is not a real sport. You're not an athlete. You still hear those things.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have athletes. Shaq even admitted he could never be an esports athlete. It takes so much energy. But again, besides that point, China and Korea, these are like national sports for them. Okay. They actually recognize them. They even have an Asian game that they participate in esports. Have you even heard of that? It's like the Olympics for that includes esports, right?
Yeah.
They really embrace the whole esports culture, which is so different from the Western even in LEC, man. I know it's big in LEC, but you're talking LCS, we're like a fish in a pond compared to how much
Yeah, dude.
resources they put in.
Factor in League of Legends as a game. It's popular, but how many households have people playing PC console games instead of just regular household PS5, Xbox Series X? You know, like console games are still like the top dog. Like PC gaming has only recently kind of come into the fray. Back in the day, it was literally just World of Warcraft and other little smaller PC games. If you're as old as me, Math Blaster was one back in the day. So
really,
yeah, I'm an old dude at this point. You know, I'm a boomer at this. I'm the boomer. You know, like PC gaming isn't as popular as Korea or China. Plus, Korea and China have PC cafes for you to play this stuff. There are esports arenas here in America. There are esports arenas you can go to play to, and they're also decently crowded too. But that's only if you know about this stuff. It's really more like if you're in the know, you're in the know. It's not like I could go up to a random mom at a park and ask her, "Hey, is your son willing to be an esports?" No, she will not even know at all. She won't even know. No. She probably won't even have an after esports. The fuck is that? Are the PC bangs in NA? Oh no, the PCs aren't. No, PCs are top notch here. People pay top notch on their PCs here. They're quality shit. It's more like it's not about the quality of the computer or your internet. It's the general interest isn't as big as it is in Korea or China or Vietnam or in Taiwan. It's just not as big here. Like it'll grow over time. It is getting better. You know, just gonna grow over time. Actually, you know.
We're seeing that now. There's more colleges that are giving out scholarships for esports if you want to invest in there, and so there's slow talks because America, we have this historic mindset that gaming is not a career. Gaming is not a career. You're gonna hear it from parents. You're gonna hear it from their parents, but over time that will shift. And as we shift into knowing that this is a potential career, it doesn't even have to be playing the game, but we're promoting how you can develop the music, in the graphics, in the story. It'll grow larger. But I also have to remember NA is known more for their shooters too. People love playing shooters more than they do MOBA. So we're that's another one of those factors why we're not as popular.
Also, one of the reasons why the viewership might not be that good, as I've explained last episode when we were talking about NA, was most casuals are going to think this. Why would I watch the shittier region when I could just watch the one winning worlds in MSI? That's literally what a casual thinks. Whether you like, I'm not a person that just is I'm all for EU. I'm all for, it's just that's what a casual thinks. Why would I watch the lower quality games when I could just watch the better regions play it at a better quality? People who are just like casuals, just general audience people think that, you know. Why would you watch
Latin America? You know, they win all the time.
Good God. Sean's here and his mic sounds like he's in a fucking tunnel.
Does?
Yes, you are in a tunnel. I'm not even kidding. You actually are in a sea cave or something.
Filming Fast and Furious right now.
Oh my God. So that's another reason, guys, is inherently ask yourself, why would you watch LCS? They don't do well at Worlds, nor MSI really. It's been this way for a very long time. The only organization that's done well for NA has been Cloud9. There's that one LG second place MSI finish, the TL 2019 MSI finish. There's these gaps in performances, and if you want to count the NIEM performance, I don't really count that shit, but I guess if you want to count that, sure. Fucking shitlord IEM performance, what it was the Korean players playing out of their minds in terms of like, I swear these guys are smoking drugs. They were not playing good that tournament, but more recent memory, right?
I mean, that's why you improve the content, though, because if your region's not winning,
you are in a cave.
Soon. Yeah. Oh, I'm in a cave.
Yes, I can barely hear you.
Well, can you still hear me fine, or?
I can hear you, but you sound like you're in a cave.
Okay. Well, I mean,
good.
In the past, like they used to make some amazing content, like when
Okay, I just turned you up. You probably sound better now. No, dude, I hate you so much right now. I hate this guy. I hate this guy so much. Abstract says Japan have the wealth and population to compete against Korea and China, but they suck at esports. That's the thing. I'm not too sure about Japan and how they handle that.
Their ping is awful. Their ping is god awful. They don't have the infrastructure for to handle that. And that's them. I gotta say, they're not going to tell their kids, "Oh, go to esports." They're not. They're go to get a job.
You go be doctor.
Culture in Korea. You go be doctor. Don't talk to me until you're a doctor.
Like people understand Asian culture from like Korea, China, Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam, much different from Asian culture here in America, where it's a lot more laxed. Actually, like Asian men are indoctrinated to literally work, guys. Like work. Like you get a job. You could be the part of the army. Any like actual
stable job.
Yeah, actual career, people would call it, right? Like it's kind of not the norm to be doing what these guys are doing, because you have stories from the players tell you themselves, their parents didn't want them doing this. They thought it was kiddie. That was a stupid thing, actually. They thought it was like a joke, honestly. It's actually crazy we even have this existing in general, based off how like small league was compared to what it is now. So that's another thing that brings up too. But back to the viewership point, it's stacked. How would you grow the LCS viewership? What is like a few things you would attempt to like try to get it to be, honestly?
Me or
yeah, no, you, because he's in like the Pacific Ocean caves or something.
We need more like regular content, like you and myself. We need to band together. I'm already like encouraged to see. Oh, just disappear on me. No,
I'm gone.
We are doing a little bit of like free labor, but we're doing this out of our love for the team and wanting to tell stories and bridge that fanship to the team. Why are we watching this? Why are we getting excited for this? Don't get left behind when esports is going to grow and you are just like trying to jump in, right? But one of the many ideas is I'm really hoping that every single org eventually has like a fan podcast, and through them we can kind of bridge some of the areas that the orgs are not promoting out there. There are small orgs. FlyQuest is a small org. Immortals is I don't even know if they're going to survive, man. But Dignitas, you don't really
Immortals
have
is something.
much.
Immortals is something. Well, we know that they it's like that Morbius meme. I can confirm Immortals is an LCS org. I can confirm that. Anything else? I don't know. League of Legends? I don't know. They play. They're an LCS org and they play League of Legends. We know that.
Oh, well, God. We know who Parf is talking about without him actually talking about it.
How else could viewership improve? I don't even think casters are the issue, though. I think people generally, they have their issues with the casters, like Freak and Azael. But I think they're beloved people, like Azael, Freak, Kobe, the Tigress. I think these are all generally beloved people, actually, like Pastry Time. These are liked people. Now, would getting more different people help? It depends, guys, because the problem here is that when you bring in new people, you have to understand, you talking about a caster from your room beating off in a basement, drinking Mountain Dew and eating Doritos is much different than being on a live broadcast in front of an audience literally right next to you, talking to essentially the world when you're broadcasting these, the LCS on Twitch, YouTube, all these different places around the world who actually watch the LCS. It's much different, though. When you hire a new cast, you have to understand, okay, are you a good person on camera? Can you carry a conversation? Can you carry a conversation through multiple hours on a broadcast? Do you understand that when you're talking, you got to kind of stop out at a certain point so the next guy can go? There's a lot of things that goes into this. And I think the people we have are good. I don't think we need any other new casters, really. Maybe promote one of the academy casters. Apparently, maybe if you want to do that to kind of spice it up. I think the casters we have are fine. I don't think it's casting at all, because that's something that is so subjective. That's not really a point. That's something you can't, like, casting is not going to improve viewership. These have been the same casters we've had for since I've kind of started the league. The only person that's gone is Rivington, essentially. That's the only person that's gone.
Oh, he's gone. You're right.
He casts Valorant now, apparently. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So the only person that's gone that I used to watch is essentially Crumbs, Rivington. What's that guy we had in 2021? The African American dude who changed his name.
Oh, what's his name? I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's gone. I actually liked him. I thought he should have stayed, actually, honestly.
Yeah,
because he came
They're
back.
not paying them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he came back to actually be part of the LCS broadcast team. I liked that they brought in Emily. I think Emily was always super underrated by a lot of people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
They should bring my boy Lorman.
It's,
Lorman was great.
Kaizen,
actually.
Kaizen.
Yeah, they don't have Kaizen, Crumbs, and Rivington on anymore. You know, I mean, honestly, wasn't the hugest fan of Crumbs, honestly. His type of
that's okay.
His type of feel, his type of aesthetic he brought just wasn't my kind of thing. But you know, he's got. I don't know what he does now, actually. Outside of that, I think the casting's fine. I think the LCS should just drive viewership by individual means, such as like since LCS is known for importing players, why don't they import the best Turkish mid laner, import the best Brazil mid laner, import the best I don't know what mid laner from any minor region. If they have a lot of fans, they'll watch the games. They do it with FlyQuest. They did it with Chime or Golden Guardians last year. Guys, FlyQuest's viewership gains actually went up when they brought in Jose Diodo. They'll drop if he leaves this year, obviously.
Please.
Yeah. So there's many things people could do. You could bring over popular players from these minor regions, albeit make sure they're good, you know. But that's another way to drive viewership. The LCS could also drive viewership by, I would say, I don't think BO3s would do it, honestly, because the problem here is people.
Yeah.
In traditional sports, people know this better because you're talking to a bunch of kids in this sport too. In traditional sports, if people see bad games, they just don't watch anyway. They don't bitch and moan about it. They just don't watch. If I tell you want to watch Timberwolves versus Atlanta Hawks, no. I'm gonna go watch Lakers versus fucking Cavaliers or something, right? People know in traditional sports, if there's bad games on, you just don't watch them. For the LCS and for LEC, they people bitch and moan a lot, and they don't watch the games. Not only do they don't watch the games, they bitch and moan so much to the point where it's just too much of the hassle. Like it's just such a big hassle, and that's not the league's fault. That's the board's fault for not generating a fan base to want to watch their games, to want to invest their time to watch their games. Actually, you know, I don't think it's. I would love BO3s in LCS again, but I know why they can't do it. You know. I was glad that we had it for when we did, but you know, I know why we can't have it. We can't have nice things. No.
It's draining, man.
Yeah.
It's draining for me to and it started on Thursday back then. I remember before franchising Thursdays.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're like watching each team play through best of threes, which is fun. And it really did help, field more games, but casual viewers, the new viewers are going to be like, we need something quick. The Zoomers, you know, the microwave.
Microwave content. They need the microwave VO1s. Like, also you factor in teams already scrim pretty much 5 days a week. You're going on stage and you're playing an extra set of not one game, 3 games. And then it was so weird how the players were like, it feels bad we have to go back to playing BO1s. Didn't you just bitch and moan that you were playing BO3s? The same players who wanted to not play in the LCS in a continuation form back when COVID was a really big thing and still wanted to get paid. I don't think the pro players should be really deciding what goes on in the league in terms of the format. I'm just saying, lots of flip-flopping, you know? People want more games, actually, you know? They tried giving one extra game. Last split, they tried giving one extra game. Teams bitched and moaned about that. Because they said the prep was too long to get to the studio and all this other stuff that went into it. So we can't do it. They tried it. I respect the LCS for trying it. They tried it. Okay, if BO3s are too much, let's do 1 day of one extra BO1 then. But then the teams were like, it's too much on us. Okay. They tried. They tried Monday Night League. They tried having something with like all the highlights from the Academy games. The guys, they tried different stuff. You know, it's just that falls on the teams though. That specifically falls on the teams though. They either they can't do it for whatever reason. And someone would say, why would I watch Dignitas or an org like Golden Guardians or IMT? Well, how would they get fans? Let's brainstorm. How would they get fans to watch their games? Well, I don't think Academy does it. This might be a hot take to a lot of people. I don't think a lot of viewers care about Academy as much as they say. I think it's a bunch of they're like these people are like politicians. They say the nice thing because they know it sounds nice, but in reality, no. People just say that because it honestly sounds nice. Academy viewership is pretty pathetic, honestly. Now, if people really care about Academy viewership and players as much as they say they do, people would be watching. And you know it by another means of just the views and the fan base that the top orgs have with pretty much full imported rosters compared to rosters with just NA players is sizably different. Like, I mean, guys, there's the floor and there's the ceiling. It's a pretty big difference, actually. It's a really big difference. These other bottom NA orgs, they have NA players on them. People don't watch. I'm sorry, they don't watch. Teams like Cloud9, Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, EG. These people have a few NA players on them, but these teams are really much better based off the import players, actually. You know? Like, people want to see these top orgs perform. And plus, why would you want to watch any org that has bad players on it? I guess general viewers aren't going to really understand that. So I'll just say it like this. Basically, the top orgs with the best players get the most viewers. It really kind of doesn't matter if they have imports, but the imports are an added benefit of it, right? Because we see the difference. A team with Golden Guardians, which is pretty much comprised of all NA players, people don't really care for them all that much. People do realize you can fully support a full NA team right now, but they don't.
Yeah.
No one talks about that.
Yeah.
You can support a full NA team right now. Oh, but wait, they don't win trophies. They have no aspirations of going to Worlds.
They have no Worlds, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the whole soccer thing, you know. It took a long time before like the US is embracing like soccer because what? They don't win World Cups. They don't win international events. We don't even qualify for some of the time. But there are people who are trying to invest, and we are doing a lot of that now. You're right. Academy is hard for me to like kind of craft my weekdays in, but I'm at the very least interested now in the amateur because of the stories like Danny, stories like Jojo Pyun. That's exciting for me, and that helps me follow, and it helps sometimes to have orgs back that up. They don't want to invest the money. I mean, I hear it all the time. They want to not invest as much as they want. So it really leaves up to people who want to see NA succeed to put in some elbow grease and just do something to drive interest and viewership.
Yes. Before you have to leave, we'll cap this off at like the hour mark. Actually, we'll go over some of the games. Actually, which game do you want to go over that made you extremely just want to just lose it? I could choose other words, but I don't want to because my brain would fry. Okay. Let's watch IMT versus C9. Okay. Let's see what really happened in this game. I have to seriously watch this again. Holy mother of God. Okay. So let's go over this game really quickly. So also one of the biggest problems this week was randomly TSM. So I'll ask you this really quickly. What did you think about TSM's newest roster? They just brought in.
Well, I think this feels a lot like last time when TSM made an overhaul again mid-season, and they're gonna get some success. So I'm glad for those who are getting their chance on the LCS stage. I don't think that they're gonna sustain success. With that said, good for them how they figured out how to outplay FlyQuest, because I have a lot of respect for how FlyQuest is playing in the summer. They're a good team, and they should have those accolades. They just do the LCS thing where they suddenly suck after having a great win the previous day. Overall, I think this team is still carried by their two most important positions, Spica and Maple, and they have to really rely on them to find any types of success. Soul is very young. I think he's making a lot of mistakes still. He looked great. Well, decent. Great is over exaggerating. We've already seen Chime before. I think we've seen his peak. I don't think
I think he'll just at his peak he'll be middle of the pack.
Right.
Yeah.
So that just leaves Instinct,
I think he had a pretty solid week, actually. Give or take what he had. Even in the game they lost against Cloud9, I was like, okay, there's something here with this guy. I like to see I want to see where this is going. Soul, he had that really bad game against Shyvana where he mismanaged his waves. He got 1v1, dove. He just had it all bad. Then he had a better day on Gnar when he faced off against Who did TSM play day 2? TSM
Philip,
played
Fly.
They
Fly.
played FlyQuest, yeah. So this TSM roster, I don't have faith really. That Cloud9 game was not convincing. That they got completely destroyed. That was horrifying. Usually, everybody knows Cloud9 and TSM is like Lakers versus Celtics. Always a hype match, no matter what the roster is, no matter what the year is. That was not hype. That was bad. That was just pitiful to watch.
That was the stomping.
Instinct got that pentakill. Tactical's not coming back. If TSM says Tactical has a chance of coming back, they're lying. That's a flat out lie.
Yeah.
Instinct is danged.
It's gone.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Let me show you guys this really quickly. This was C9 versus IMT. C9 ended up dropping to IMT, who was 1-7. Now, before this C9 game, remember this, guys, IMT was winning against CLG, and then they just threw.
Yeah.
Because they're just garbage.
It's horrible.
Now you've Cloud9 versus Immortals. Cloud9 just came off of beating TSM, just completely ransacking them. They started off the game pretty solid, right? Basically, it was back and forth, kind of, but Immortals showed they were trying to outplay Cloud9. Like, people said it was a draft. People said it was a macro decisions. What do you think attributed to Cloud9's loss against Immortals? And should this be a cause for concern, actually?
So this game, I remember we were like in the Discord, the Oracle's Elixir Discord. There are people already predicting that C9 was gonna, because of all the hype they had about Sven. Sven was gonna be amazing. How he made that transition. They had all that hype. I don't know if you saw that pregame.
I did.
And just flat out. C9. I think they are still growing and adapting, but really my concern is with Blabber. He's still the best player on the team, but he's not as consistent as I thought he would be from the last 2 years. I thought he would fall off last year because I thought his rookie year was like amazing, but he only climbed higher. So I was like, okay, this is it. This is the best jungler LCS will ever have for the time being.
Right.
But I was disappointed. Kindred is a good pick. I don't know what happened there that he didn't really thrive on that one.
Immortals, they played proactive this game. I can give them that, which I think that caught them off guard. I didn't think Cloud9 maybe anticipated them to actually fight them the way they did, because at one of the fights around this part of the game, they actually take the blast cone over and then they actually fight them. They actually flash over the wall and they just fight them. Like, you don't expect Immortals to make these proactive plays. Guys, factor in, Immortals have been a team getting perfect and borderline perfect gamed. Actually, I did not expect them to actually fight this good. Now, maybe Cloud9 should have prepped a better draft than this one, seeing the way they performed against seeing how they performed against CLG. Remember, guys, IMT could have went 2-0 this week. CLG got away with such murder because they're just so trash. IMT got shafted of a 2-0 week, essentially. CLG, so lucky they had that IMT throw. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Now, this part of the game, I almost lost my brain right here. They actually choose to fight a 3v5. Okay, so right here on my mouse cursor, you can see Blabber is somewhere right here. Jensen's up here. They fight a 3v5, and they somehow think they can win with an Aphelios, a Gragas, and a damn Braum. You can see right here, Blabber's right there. Jensen's right there. Why are they fighting a 3v5? What in the world? So it starts off basically with them pushing this wave, and this is already dangerous enough. This is already really kind of pushing it. I don't know why they chased that far with that, or how they even get to the spot. Let me see right here. So they're fighting in this position right there. Okay, that's when they got IMT got Baron. Oh, C9 got Baron now. I remember. Okay, so somehow they end up down here in the bot lane. They get Nard. Right here is already where it's bad. Why is the support in ADC alone with a Braum with your jungler who's mid and your mid laner is still in base wave clearing? The fact that they're already in that spot is horrible. That's already bad. Like, Blabber got the steal, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Blabber stole the Baron. All they can, if you kill 3 people with that Baron, that Blabber stole, you just end the game. They have a Corki and a Gnar and a Nautilus and a Viego. Just seeing them lose this game, like, I don't think Sven has been a good support at all, honestly. I'm just being honest, guys. I didn't think he'd be a good support, and I don't think he's been a good support pretty much at all. He had the one good Amumu game against TSM. That was like the only real good game he had. Honestly, somehow Blabber is split pushing that far as a Kindred, knowing that they have that part of the jungle warded. What's going on here?
Is all kind of macro mistakes. Them seeing
like just
the team come. What? Yeah, who's the shot caller or the primary? I know they're all our shot callers.
Definitely not any of them. They were just not talking. They weren't playing with any comms. They were just playing with their mouths closed, dude. Because that's just bad. Like. Someone would say, why would a 3v5 be bad in that situation? Okay, so if you're a new viewer, the reason why you won't want to fight that, first of all, T9's competition with Baron could potentially end the game, okay? They're actually still ahead in that point of the game anyway. First of all, you wouldn't want to have a 3v5 right there because, first of all, Berserker was kind of behind to a certain extent in items, a little bit compared to the Callista to a certain extent. And also, you have a Gnar where if he completely just jumps in, he throws either of them into one of these walls, Corki just packages over, okay? These three champions right here have really no escapes either, except you have the Gragas E. This is E, right? The body slam over the wall. He's going to have to save his body. Either he uses his body slam to hit one of them, or he uses his body slam to get out of the situation. Then you have Berserker, who just has Flash, and he's Aphelios. Yes, Aphelios ult can push him back, right? But that's not going to throw you far back enough to escape from a Nautilus hook, Flash Nautilus hook, as well as a Callista all-in. Like this is just I don't know, man.
It's horrible. Like look at the stats. Even to your point, Callista is at 299 CS, 3 items. You have an Aphelios at 255 CS with only 2.5 items. Why even think that you have this chance against when you're already down members?
Also, Braum has his Flash coming up, so he doesn't have Flash, and Jensen is still top lane, and people were probably thinking like, couldn't Jensen TP? Not to that. You TP to that. That's when I start question mark pinging you in my games. You do that shit, I'm reporting you. That's unskilled. Back in the day when you could report people for being unskilled, no, you do that shit, I'm reporting you. I'm just being honest. The other game we'll go over. The one game we'll go over because I know he has to leave in a little bit. We have about 4 minutes left. We'll wrap up the show in a clean hour. Clean hour. Give me a second. What do you think? Well, we have to go over an EG game. We have to go over an EG game. Oh, we have a TSM ad. Oh, TSM ads. Don't you just love these cringe TSM ads? You have EG versus Team Liquid, a rematch of the LCS 2022 Spring Split 3rd place match. Team Liquid, I'll say this though. Danny and Core JJ. Han Sama and Core JJ. They always do very, very well against Danny and Vulcan bot lane. They actually win the bot lane consistently. And if you go back and watch a lot of TL's games from this year when they faced up against EG's bot lane, Han Sama and Core JJ have outperformed Danny and Vulcan bot lane. They did it in the 3rd place match that we saw, in spring. They actually did it earlier this split when they already played again. Didn't they already? This is the first time they're playing, or the second time they're playing?
This is the first time they're playing. This split.
So Han Sama and Core JJ, they're a really strong bot lane, but it doesn't matter. Didn't matter at all. Because somehow now for League of Legends, even if your bot lane gets ahead, it doesn't matter for some reason. You have to be astronomically ahead for it to really matter. Do you think Whipple played very well in the Aatrox this game? He had a couple of good engages, but
That's kind of my feeling about Whipple this whole year he's been in NA. He's like, he's not the Whipple that we saw in Fnatic, right? That was a crazy player that goes in, but this one seems like he's going in, everyone is like, okay, we're gonna follow somehow. But no, I didn't think he had his best game here and showed. This was an
actual good play for them. They forced the dive consistently. They get the TP out. I was like, okay, I like this. This is what they should be doing. Now, I personally think that they only opted into playing through bot lane because Whipple and Bjergsen, they can't agree on how to play the game. I'm not saying that behind the scenes issues. That's just what it seems to me when I watch their games. Because no way you just settle on playing through bot lane when you have Bjergsen and Whipple on your team. But then again, you realize, do Whipple and Bjergsen actually see the game the same way? Because I don't think they do. Because Whipple, primarily most on Fnatic, pulled his jungler towards him, or wanted to pull his jungler towards him when he had self-made. That didn't work. When he had Broxa, he did pull him towards. Bjergsen also would want to pull their jungler closer to their lane as well. So they probably went, okay, we don't agree on this. The coach stuff is like, no. Can't do it through top or mid. Go bot lane. I promise you guys, how did they come to that conclusion they were gonna play through bot lane? Because they couldn't decide how to play through top or mid. That's how you come to that conclusion. That's how any team, if you hear people's interviews, like coaches and players, we've come to the conclusion that we're just gonna play through bot lane. Yeah, that would come through arguing and disagreeing on how to play the game. That's the only way you come to those conclusions, actually. I think Jojo Pion, he had a decent game on Lissandra. It was decent.
Decent. Yeah, he didn't dumpster on Bjergsen like he always wanted to, but
his trash talk says otherwise, actually.
Yeah, well, his trash talk is A+, S tier. But yeah, no, this game Bjergsen did hold him, from
why is Bjergsen still picking Zilean?
Causing more chaos.
In 2022, this man is still picking Zilean.
I
kind of understand why you pick Zilean. You make Aatrox, Volibear, Lucian, run faster, speed them up, cause more damage. I understand why you pick Zilean. I just don't think the benefit of picking Zilean in this comp really gives you what they really think it does. That's just me personally. Like, yeah, you get to speed up your Aatrox and your Volibear, but you lose a lot of potential priority in the mid lane, actually. Like, could he have just picked Syndra? Could he have just picked Zoe? Could he have just picked what's a little small Yordle new mid lane champion? I forget her name.
The Vex.
Vex. Could you pick Vex? Imagine Vex diving in with Aatrox, diving in with Volibear at the same time. You know? This Flash. Oh, if you do this in my games, I'm reporting you.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh.
Right here,
yes, I remember now.
Right here. You pull, this is great what he's doing right now. Oh no! Oh no! L. No! What are you doing? Just L.
I don't understand.
He did everything right until that point. At that moment, he knew he fucked up. He did everything right, guys. This is what you do as an AC. You poke them off. You kind of scare him. Come to me. Come to me. He has his flash and cleanse up still. He did a great job. That's when your brain starts frying. That's when your brain fries. How could he think he could kill them when he just used his ultimate and it didn't even actually poke them out?
No.
He would also know those three are still alive because he literally just used his ultimate on them.
That's exactly what the caster said. How the hell did you flash? You knew exactly where they are.
Because he guys, so it was like, how would you know where they are? You just plebs. Okay, this is how you know. This is how you know that he knew that they were there. First of all, he literally just used his ult on them. Okay, there's a ward right here. There's a ward right here. Okay, there's vision right here. You can see them. Then he knows he just pokes them. He's thinking he's chasing the two of them, right? So the reason why he knows they're there is because his team is right there. They're probably saying, oh, we just got to pick onto Viego. Let's go. Why else would he go back then? He knows they're there because his teammates probably said they're still here. Yeah, Hansama, outside of this game, up until that point of the game, he was playing very well. But even the other TL games, he's not looked that good. I don't know what's going on with this roster. The first opening week 1 of the split, they looked great week 1. Weeks 2, 3, 4... I don't know. Like this is just a super raw. This is just a super team on paper, name alone.
Getting the vitality vibe here, man.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't talk about them. That breaks my soul. Pretty much, Danny gets super Omega level fed on Ezreal and Yuumi. He's literally 10-1 at this point. He finishes the game 10-1. Danny styling on and Team Liquid at Baron Pits. No more iconic duo. Oh my god! Just in fact, Inspired. They all play well this game. Vulcan, he was on Yuumi duty. That's what he was designed for. Just Yuumi duty, actually. But all right, time to finish up the show with one last thing: our predictions. Predictions, baby. Let's do it. All right. Let's go for the LCS 2022 Summer Split Week 5. That's we're on?
Week 5.
Yes. All right. Standings show whatever this is. 100 Thieves. I still have hope. They got nearly perfect game by FlyQuest, but they had an interesting game against CLG. 100 Thieves. They're about as dicey as Team Liquid, actually. All the teams this week lost to teams they shouldn't be losing. Won games they really shouldn't have won, but then won very convincing games against teams they shouldn't. Oh, this week was fucking horrible. EG's the only team that are just standing above all these teams. I think 100 Thieves is still a good team, but I think the problem with the 100 Thieves is they specifically, if they revert back to what's good for them, they win games. But if they try any like different styles out there, this doesn't work for them, really. If Closer's playing Poppy jungle guys, that man's going, I need some brain dead shit. playing Poppy jungle is the equivalent of playing Malzahar mid. That's point and click. That's no skill playing Poppy. You just knock people away. But let's get into the games.
Hey.
Let's go. Week 5. Who do you have, man?
All right.
Saturday's games.
Come on, it's got to be C9. You can't just like lie down and just not come back.
I hope.
I give Dignitas their credit for beating Golden Guardians. I thought that was just a fun game fantasy-wise anyways, but Dignitas did what they needed to do. But I don't think they have the upside. The bot lane, even with Sven, I think C9 should hold the advantage over this one. So I'll take C9. TL team. If TL loses to Immortals, which they did, I think it's spring. They did. I'm going to have to rethink everything I know about
my
the LCS
life
for this day, right? Can you imagine like TL losing it to IMT at this point? TSM
Match
against 100 Thieves.
Match of the week.
Come on. I don't believe in this TSM. I'm sorry. This is the time for 100 Thieves to kind of show and get back right on track. EG against CLG.
Yeah, I agree. EG should beat this living dog shit out of this guy. The CLG had such a strong start based off strength of schedule, and then we've seen how good they are at this point. I think they're finally starting to show their true colors. That wasn't going to last very long.
Yes, that's my feel too. Like right before the break, and then after the break, you see kind of this like down. Now, give it to them. They did beat us the first time around, and that was like a whack.
Oh wow!
Game. that was a whack game.
Call that week 1 jitters.
And then GG against Fly, I really want to see Fly win. If they lose to Golden Guardians, I don't know what to say, but I think they should win. So that's my prediction for the first day.
All right, I'm going to go with C9, Team Liquid. C9, you better win this game. If they lose this game, oh Lord, my life getting rethunk, actually. Rethought. Thunk is not a word. Their bad gameplays made me not even think of words. I'm sorry, everyone watching. 100 Thieves. If 100 Thieves goes 2-0 this week, I think you would have them as this is a solidified second place team. But match of the week, EG versus 100 Thieves, a rematch of the LCS 2022 Spring Split Finals. EG got the better of them first time around. Can 100 Thieves finally just beat them? They're like, we'll feel so vindicated if we beat them. EG beats CLG. FlyQuest beats Golden Guardians. Team Liquid beats CLG. C9 beats Golden Guardians. As much as I like 100 Thieves, fan of a lot of their players, I don't think they're winning this time around again. I think they're going to have to wait for that. EG, they're going 2-0 this week. TSM versus Immortals. I mean, it's Immortals. I don't. That's TSM. It's Fly versus Dig. You almost say Dig. Dig can run and pull off some upsets. There you go, guys. And that's it. It was nice to have you on, man, for the first time. Hopefully you can join next week, potentially, when we do an LCS only episode, actually, you know?
All right. I'll give my best a try, but thank you so much for inviting me. This is fun. I really like the energy. I like all that you do here, man.
No problem, man. Yeah. See you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.